So if you haven't heard already, President Joe Biden proposed a $15,000 first-time homebuyer tax credit late 2020. It was based on the tax credit that was used during the recession of 2008 and 2009, offering the first-time homebuyers a credit up to $8,000 that was a part of the Housing and Economic Recovery Act to boost the housing market. As 2021 rolled around, it seemed as if the proposal wasn't very much established to begin with, and it just vanished out of thin air, as it was more a conversation in the administration than it was a structured bill. But just about a week ago, a $25,000 grant was proposed. Let's talk about it. Why is this $25,000 grant so appealing compared to the $15,000 tax credit that was talked about a few months ago? Well, for one, there's an extra $10,000 tacked onto it. Number two, it's not just a tax credit that you file when you do taxes in April. This money is supposedly going to be available up front at closing. Nothing is set in stone yet, as it's still in the drafting stages for the Down Payment Toward Equity Act of 2021. But on the plus side, it's definitely starting to get some structure to it. Remember when your parents would say to you growing up, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is? Well, that phrase may just work fine for this situation, as most people are looking forward to $25,000 in assistance, but they don't realize how specific these requirements are to be eligible. Again, it's in draft mode, and you can almost guarantee the requirements will be tweaked in one way or another. But for now, let me break down the current requirements. To qualify for this first-time homebuyer grant, you have to be a first-time homebuyer, of course, or not have owned a home in the last 3 years. You might be sitting there thinking, awesome, I've never bought a home, I'm all set, or I haven't lived in a home for 4 years, I get a pass. Well, to qualify, you have to be a first-generation home buyer, meaning neither of your parents may have owned a home in the past, and that qualification wouldn't apply if your parents lost the home in a short sale, foreclosure situation, or if you were in foster care for that matter. So just that point alone has drastically narrowed down the amount of people who are eligible for this grant. On top of that, you can't make more than 120% of the area median income where you live. And if it's a high cost area, it would be 180% area median income. If you are under those percentages, you can qualify to receive $20,000 in assistance. And the other $5,000 comes into play if you are recognized as a socially disadvantaged individual who was subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice. You would qualify for that additional $5,000. If you aren't sure of what area median home income is, there are a lot of free websites to do just that, but I will include one in the description to save you a step. Remember, this is a grant, not a tax credit, so it would be used at closing toward a down payment instead of being a credit to claim on income taxes, which would be similar to the one implemented in the Bush and Obama era. I'm sure this wasn't exactly what a lot of you wanted to hear, but creating structure to help with down payment assistance is a step in the right direction. It most definitely won't happen overnight, but good things take time, right? Many arguments are circulating around the internet about the purpose of a grant like this. Essentially, it's an attempt to narrow the homeownership gap by targeting the first-generation homeowners. Why exactly? Well, this theory is based around the concept of, if your parents didn't do it, chances are you won't either. So it's giving opportunity to that group of individuals to accelerate multi-generational homeownership. What is going to happen to the market if the grant is created and implemented? Well, as you may or may not know, the market is incredibly one-sided right now with buyer demand so high. Headlines we're reading, US housing market is nearly 4 million homes short of buyer demand. So adding more buyers to that buyer pool is only going to make buying a home harder and will increase demand and of course increase home prices overall. So it poses the question, will this grant be good for the housing market or bad? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this quick video about the newly mentioned down payment assistance grant. If it gave you some value, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, tap the bell to be notified every time I come out with a new video about current real estate information, tips, and state-specific information in Michigan. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.